No, because I'm actually going to bring you up, so you need your notes with you. All right, it's going to be how you talk about the test.
Hello? Hello? Test, test, test. Okay, good morning and thank you for joining us. My name is Kim Armstead and I'm one of the public information officers with the Oakland Police Department. Today, Oakland Police Chief LeRonne Armstrong will be discussing the recent surge in violent crime as well as staffing. He's joined by Lieutenant Chavies, who's the commander of the Homicide Section. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to the Chief.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Like I always do, I always acknowledge the lives lost in the city of Oakland. Today, we're at 127 homicides. That means I will not start before I give 2 minutes and 7 seconds to honor the people who have lost their lives. And I don't do this because this is about a show. This is for me the reality of what's happening in our city. It is an acknowledgement that that there's so much hurt and pain in our city that I feel like it's important that I always recognize those who have lost loved ones in our city. Tremendous tragedy to the city of Oakland. So with that, we'll take 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Right. Thank you. Today, I'll be talking about the violent crime that's happened in the city of Oakland over the last couple of weeks, a couple of follow-ups from some of the incidents that we've been investigating over the last couple of weeks in the way in which it's impacted our community. The Oakland community is suffering from over 127 homicides so far we're investigating this year. I first want to start off with an acknowledgement that Kevin Nishida lost his life over the weekend. He was loved by many, loved by officers as well as colleagues that he worked with. As you know, we released a surveillance photo of the vehicle that we believe was involved in this crime. That vehicle is a 2004 to 2008 Acura TL white 4-door with a sunroof and no license plates. If anyone has any information related to that vehicle, please contact the Oakland Police Department's Homicide Section at 510-238-3821. Our Crime Stoppers of Oakland, as well as the Oakland Police Department, is now offering a $32,500 reward for information leading to the arrest of the individuals involved in this crime. This continues, we continue to see this reward increase as people obviously have some serious concerns. Obviously, to our news crews that cover us in the city of Oakland, we're going to do everything we can to continue to make Oakland a safe place for you to cover news. And we will be meeting with our local stations to have that discussion. I also want to recognize the homicide from this weekend of Eric Davis. This homicide occurred as Mr. Davis was following a group of individuals involved in car burglaries. It's a very tragic situation, and it's unfortunate for the city of Oakland. This occurred in the 600 block of Grand Avenue. Our Crime Stoppers of Oakland, as well as the Oakland Police Department, is currently offering a $10,000 reward. Today, I'll be releasing the description of the vehicle as well as a photo of the suspect vehicle in that crime. That suspect vehicle is a Toyota RAV4, four-door black. The vehicle may have a rear passenger side window that is missing. It's been shot out. We ask for the community's help in identifying that vehicle, and if we can identify the individuals responsible for that shooting as well, and help bring those to justice. I also want to talk about the caravan, our response to caravan robberies. After a week, last week, where we've seen the tremendous impact of caravan robberies, not only in Oakland, but throughout the Bay Area, I immediately responded by redeploying our staff within the Oakland Police Department. Last weekend, we staffed extra teams to be able to be out into the community and address these violent robbery caravans that continue to impact communities across the Bay Area. A tactical response is what I deploy. Essentially, what I did was divide up our tactical team to put out specially trained officers throughout the city and 4 different quadrants in the city to make sure we had a quick response to those that would seek to come to Oakland and use caravans of vehicles, armed suspects, to rob businesses. We were prepared, and we will be prepared moving forward. Specially trained officers that are trained in de-escalating these highly armed situations. What I was concerned about was the amount of firepower that we continue to address, to be confronted with every time these caravans come into Oakland, and our patrol officers having to drive into those situations and actually putting officers' lives at risk as well. We had 2 shootings at police officers over the last weekend, and that has some serious concerns that when officers are responding to these caravans, they're being met with gunfire. And so in order to safely address this, we had to actually deploy our specially trained officers to be prepared to address these armed caravans. We will continue to do that. I thank the mayor, Mayor Schaaf, for her proactive approach to assisting the department and helping us identify potential opportunities for resources with additional academies, hopefully unfreezing of positions. I think it's clear today as we sit with 676 officers currently at the department. That is the smallest staff that we've had in several years. It is woefully lower than the staffing we had at this same time last year, where we had 740 officers. So to have nearly 70 less officers a year later is definitely going to have an impact on our ability to address public safety. But the mayor yesterday committed to helping this department, working with the city council to hopefully identify additional academies as well as potentially additional resources that we could bring to assist this department to address crime in our city. But I also want community to know that we are continuing to investigate these homicides, that we are following up on every lead that community brings to us. And today, after I take questions, Lieutenant Chavis, our homicide commander, will be prepared to speak to the 10 arrests that we've made for homicide in the month of November. So although we continue to see crime occurring that concerns us, we also want to make sure that we are following up on those who pick up guns in our community by holding them accountable. That's critically important as well. So with that, I'll take questions, and then I'll have Lieutenant Chavis come up and speak to the 10 cases that we closed in the month of November. Yes.
Chief, can you confirm the current status of ceasefire? I know we were talking about this in the past with COVID. Is it back up, or are we still, just remind us where we are with ceasefire?
Yes, our ceasefire strategy is continuing. Our ceasefire strategy actually never stopped. It was impacted by COVID, and we weren't able to do the things that we had done traditionally around call-ins and direct communication. but we have been for several months fully implementing the ceasefire strategy. We actually added an additional team in the month of November. Teams have been reduced due to budget cuts, but we increased an additional team in the month of November with additional 6 officers being deployed to our ceasefire unit. So our ceasefire unit is up and running, is focused on those involved in violence, group and gang violence. We had a call in this month. About 2 weeks ago, we had a call in. And so we had individuals that attended that meeting, and so we are following up.
There was a store in Oakland, Renegade Running, that was broken into 4 times over the weekend. Any leads on that one specifically?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So there's a store called Renegade Running here in Oakland that posted about having been robbed 4 times in the last couple weeks. Any specifics on any suspects to that one or to any of these?
No specific suspects for that, but what we have seen is vehicles, one particular group in a vehicle commit multiple auto burglaries. And I think it's important when community sees these individuals committing these crimes that they first call 911, but also if there's any images that they can capture to help us investigate those crimes, we really would appreciate that and appreciate them sharing with us. Because what we've seen over and over again is a trend of a group of individuals that sometimes are not even from Oakland come and commit multiple burglaries, as high as 30 burglaries in one particular hour period, going from car to car, breaking into cars. But if that information is not shared with law enforcement, then we can't have an immediate response. And so we ask people, even though it's an auto burglary, to still call 911 so that we can immediately respond and address that crime.
How do you think these groups, the mass robbery things, how are they coordinated?
Well, we know that the use of social media is how they're coordinated. We know that some of our groups and gangs that we've identified in the city of Oakland are participating in these armed caravans of robbers. And so we know that they are coming from outside of Oakland as well. We've seen individuals that have been arrested from Vallejo and Fairfield and up to Stockton. So we know that several individuals from other cities are coming to our community to commit these crimes. And I think it's important that we continue to coordinate from a regional perspective. And we have been having regional meetings to discuss the impact of these robberies across the Bay Area with other agencies.
Wanted to, on the subject of staffing, wanted to get a sense for yesterday the mayor's announcement of working to reverse that freeze. I guess what impact would that have? And also, I'm curious, how many folks are you expected to get from an upcoming training academy that's going to be graduating here soon? And where will those officers be deployed? Are they going to patrol? Are they going to investigative units?
Yeah, so we just started an academy on November 15th that had 39 new recruits. That's the highest number of recruits that we've had over several years. So we look forward to their graduation in April of 2022. We're going to do everything we can to keep all 39, but there's a possibility that we might, obviously with attrition, a couple might not make it, but we expect to be over 30 when we finish that academy. We also plan to graduate on December 22nd, 26 recruits. They will finish on December 22nd of 2021. They will go into patrol immediately. All 26 will be deployed into patrol. So that will help us. We've seen an increased number of open beats in our patrol staffing. We want to fill those beats immediately, and the graduation class will help with that. So we look forward to that.
Do you expect any staffing changes when it comes to detectives, adding additional resources there, or reorganizing to help solve some of these unsolved crimes that are out there?
Yeah, I think once we fill the patrol beats, then we'll start to allocate additional resources to our investigative units. That will be the focus. We also will seek to fill our ceasefire teams as soon as we can. And so we need both. We need our patrol officers, but also we have to fill those specialized positions that focus on violent crime, like ceasefire and our Violent Crimes Operations Center. Both of those units need to be filled as well.
Chief, can you also Chief, there are security cameras like everywhere.
Yeah.
Are they helpful, and what are the limitations of using them to help you solve crime?
They are tremendously helpful. I think having surveillance cameras provides really good evidence for our criminal investigators. I would say that the vast majority of homicides and other crimes that we solve actually include the use of surveillance camera video footage. And so, we believe that it's an effective tool. We believe that technology is probably the quickest way that we can help strengthen our crime fighting efforts. I think in Oakland, our privacy committee is a very strong privacy advisory group, but I think we have to be open to increasing the technology that we have in the city of Oakland. And I think we're in the 21st century where everybody's videotaping everything, where we see phones pop out immediately. But in the city of Oakland, not to have a citywide surveillance camera system, it puts us definitely behind the 8 ball, because we have to go out and ask community members to bring forth video. And we don't have it immediately available to our investigators. And so I think that is important, that we rely on technology. It takes a long time to get officers through the academy. Technology is something that we could get on the ground much faster.
Chief, are you able to provide specifics on both Kevin Nishida and Eric Davis? Can you talk about reports that the gunman shooter opened fire first before any attempt at robbing the reporter of recruitment, or could it have been accidental discharge? That's for this one, and for the Lake Merritt case, can you confirm whether the victim had interrupted for someone else's burglary and then his own, or just someone else's, and what, if any, relationship that purple Jeep Grand Cherokee that we've seen on video is?
So I'll first say that from the Kevin Nishida investigation, I can't speak to specifically how and which it went, the shooting started. I think that those are things that we're still looking into. I think when we get more information in investigation, we'll be able to clear those things up. Here's what we do know, that there were multiple rounds fired. So that does not appear to be consistent with an accidental discharge when multiple rounds are fired. As far as related to the Eric Davis homicide, I'll say that we're not prepared to release information as to what happened first. What we know is that that vehicle had been responsible for other car burglaries. And so that's why I think it's important that if the public saw that vehicle prior to the shooting, prior to this incident, we need to know that information. We need to know the locations of where that vehicle may have been seen earlier in the day. So that's why I think it's important that we release the photo today to the public, in hopes that someone had seen that vehicle earlier in that day, and could help us better understand how we can identify that vehicle.
And any specifics as to how one of the windows was a child on that floor?
No, I'm not going to go into detail at this point. We still obviously are early on in the investigation. There's more things that we need to look into before I release how that happened.
With the increased police presence in Chinatown, I've noticed, have you seen a reduction of crime there? And if so, do you plan to implement that strategy anywhere else in the city?
Yeah, I mean, I think we feel good about saying that we have seen a huge reduction in crime in Chinatown compared to the first half of the year, and it was due to an increase in presence. Officers on the ground, officers walking in the area, but also the Blue Angels, the community volunteers in Chinatown that have also stepped up. And so I do think that sort of model can be used in other areas in the city, but it really is a resource issue. I'm working officers on overtime, and when you have a small number of officers, it is the same officers obviously working these overtime shifts. That has an impact as well. And so we're trying to balance the health and wellness of our officers as well.
You mentioned these tactical teams. Let's get more information about what exactly they are, what kind of equipment are they using, how many people are on each team, sort of thing. And did you say that that's expected to continue? How those exact same teams moving forward every weekend from here on out?
And what we'll do is continue to assess the intelligence that we get. Obviously, we're always looking for information to better understand what is coming to the city of Oakland. We have officers that are dedicated to trying to determine if we're going to see certain types of activity in the city of Oakland, and then we'll make a strategic decision as to whether we're going to deploy our specially trained teams that weekend. So essentially, the Oakland Police Department's SWAT team, our tactical operations team, they have been divided into smaller teams. And those smaller teams are being deployed throughout the city, where we believe are the prime locations where we've seen our caravan robberies occur. So it is definitely going to be a presence in areas where our marijuana dispensaries are located, in our business districts where our businesses are located. Those will be areas that we have a higher concentration of our specially trained officers. What they bring is they bring extensive training in the use of other tactical options like less lethal options. They also have special training using our emergency response vehicles. Those vehicles obviously can handle ballistics So if there was a situation where they met gunfire, those vehicles could withstand that type of gunfire, different than our patrol cars.
With regards to the Kevin Machida, the vehicle description is obviously very generic to many. Is there a reason why you guys are not releasing the license plate number?
We have released a photo of the vehicle, and I think that
But with the license plate.
not with the license plate, Bird. We're continue to investigate the license plate. It is not the correct license plate, and so we don't want to release it because it is a part of our investigation.
So we have time for one
regarding,
last question.
Okay.
I think he didn't get one
Okay.
either.
Okay.
Regarding social media and the use of social media, do you think that's being used to coordinate? Is it being used to recruit? And is there a quote-unquote mastermind or someone controlling all of this activity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is being used to recruit, to advertise, to brag, if you would. And I believe that there is a couple of people that are driving us. I don't believe that it's one individual. I do believe that these groups are very coordinated, far more coordinated than we thought they were. And I do believe that they are making a conscious decision to go to certain cities. And so we want to get in front of that. And that's why we've deployed specific officers to track on social media to try to prevent those things from happening in the city of Oakland, but also working with our district attorney's office to hold people accountable once we arrest them. We will seek to arrest people. We are going to make some policy changes just to allow our officers to have more latitude when it comes to the apprehension of those involved in these crimes. We're also going to be working with other departments in the city of Oakland, like Public Works, to ask for barriers to be put out in certain areas in the city, certain locations that we believe we can cut off and deny vehicular traffic to, so that we can prevent these looters from coming in with vehicles and using those vehicles to escape. So if we can lock down these areas and make people come in on foot, we think that helps to prevent these things from happening. And we've seen those strategies work in other cities.
Okay, and last question?
Chief, I was wondering, are there any other options besides the academies to bring in more officers?
Yeah, I mean, we are going the lateral route as well. We're accepting lateral police officers. Traditionally, the Oakland Police Department has not really invested in recruitment of lateral officers, but we will begin to do that. I've just met with my staff actually this morning to talk about a more robust lateral recruitment effort. We also will be asking City Council for incentives for hiring. Other departments throughout the Bay Area are offering financial incentives for people to come to their departments. We will explore that as well because I think we need to make ourselves competitive in this very difficult market of hiring police officers across the country.
What kind of laterals are you looking for? In your perfect world, what kind of laterals are you looking for?
Well, I mean, I think it's experienced police officers that have a good track record, that haven't, behaved inappropriately, have no unprofessional conduct, and can come in and bring something positive to the city of Oakland, to the Oakland Police Department. We would definitely welcome them. Anybody interested in progressive policing? Yep.
Chief, can I have 10 seconds to change my recorder?
Yep.
Sorry. Thanks very much. There you go.
All right.
That was the last question.
I just want to sum it up, by saying I really thank the members of the Oakland Police Department. The men and women of the Oakland Police Department have really stood strong in this moment. We have short staffing. Our crime has definitely increased. They have faced tremendous threats of violence by being shot at, by having large crews of armed individuals surrounding vehicles, damaging vehicles. And every day they've stepped up and come to work to make this city safe. So I really believe that this city owes a true debt of gratitude to all of the members. Although we've seen several people leave the Oakland Police Department, there are 676 officers that come here every day to make this city safe. They should be recognized. I hope this community appreciates them. This is a challenging moment for all of us, and particularly those in uniform that go out there every day to address this. Please support them. Please know we're doing the best we can, and please know that we believe that we're going to actually be able to manage this violence. But it's going to take a collaborative effort from everybody in this city, and I'm glad to see that we are working together to try to come up with solutions and not pointing fingers in this moment. People expect us to step up, and that's what we're going to do in this moment. So I really thank the city leadership for scheduling a meeting on December 7th. to have these discussions. It's important that the people in this city know that we are not turning a blind eye to the level of violence that people are experiencing every day in our community. That's important. That's important to the day-to-day lives of people. People that constantly send me emails saying how impacted they are about the things that they're seeing and experiencing in this community. Just know, every day we are focused. Every day the men and women of Oakland Police Department are doing their best, and we will continue to do that. So with that, thank you. And I just want to take a minute to have Lieutenant Chavis come up and speak to the 10 cases that we've closed in the month of November, because I do want people to know that we are following up on every lead that community brings forward to us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, or morning still. My name is Frederick Chavis, Frederick, Shavis.
What is that again? I'm sorry.
Frederick, Frederick, Shavis, SHAV like Victor, IES.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, I am the Homicide Section Commander, and I want to talk about 10 cases that we've been able to solve or clear through the charging of individuals just in the month of November. So dating back to August 14th of this year, there was a young woman involved who was followed from an area of human trafficking, and her and an individual she was with were robbed, and sadly the gentleman that she was with was shot and killed. We were able to make an arrest in that instance on November 17th, and the gentleman that we believe is responsible for that homicide has been charged by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. On September 26th of this year, there were 2 homicides. 2 brothers were killed in the 3700 block of High Street. Through tremendous efforts by not only the investigator, but by community members and also members of the Violent Crime Operations Center, the suspect responsible for that homicide turned himself in on November 23rd and was charged with 2 counts of homicide, 2 counts of murder. On October 18th, there was a young lady whose body was found in the 7800 block of Redwood Road. Our investigators worked tirelessly throughout that week in order to identify individuals known to her and eventually responsible for that homicide. And on November 2nd, that individual was arrested, and the case was presented to the District Attorney's Office, and the gentleman was charged with murder. As you all know, it's been talked about, but on October 21st, retired Oakland Police Captain Ursi Joyner was robbed by multiple individuals. 3 individuals that were responsible for that incident were arrested on November 18th and charged on the 19th for that incident. On October 29th, a young man was gunned down in the Tassafarunga village. Investigators, along with our patrol officers, responded and were able to quickly identify the individual responsible for that incident. And on November 2nd, he also was charged in the death of Mr. Jackson by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. On November 13th of this year, there were a number of individuals who were at Lake Merritt when they were approached and robbed. We've made 1 arrest, and we believe additional arrests are forthcoming. But one of the individuals involved in that incident has been arrested and charged by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Tragically, on the 18th of November, just up the street here, 2 individuals, a young woman and a young man, were killed in a residence here in downtown Oakland. Patrol officers were able to apprehend the suspect. He was interviewed and was later charged the following day by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office with 2 counts of murder. And then on November 2nd, we had a young man who was tragically shot in the 5000 block of Melrose Avenue. Shortly thereafter, we were able to identify a suspect We were able to take the gentleman in custody. He was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, and tragically on Thanksgiving morning, our victim succumbed to his injuries, and we are presenting the new case to the district attorney's office, and that should be done here today or tomorrow. Thank you all.
Take a question.
Was there a question?
What's your carbon clearance rate for 2021 then right now? What is
We are at 44% for 2021. And those cases are only charged cases, so there are a number of cases where we have identified subjects and maybe even made arrests, but we are counting charged cases as clearance.
so there are arrests beyond that
Correct.
that have not been charged, is that right?
Correct.
May I ask how many? Sorry.
I don't have the exact number, but I'll try my best to get that for you.
Okay. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your